Welcome. You are entering a workshop on inattentive ADHD. I know this workshop or webinar was titled ADD. Technically, in the UK, ADHD is formally recognised term. ADD is not an official diagnosis since 1994. Obviously, if you're in a different part of the world, it might not apply. But in the UK, which we are streaming from today, we are utilising the terminology inattentive ADHD. But why do you think so many people still call it ADHD is the first question. We're using inattentive ADHD just to make sure that we're up to date with our language. But why do you think some people might still call it ADD? Could be for a plethora of reasons. Why do you think so many people still call it ADD? ADD could be an unofficial subtype of ADHD. It's due to DSM. Yep, they might have been diagnosed before with the ADD diagnosis. ADD is attention deficit disorder. The diagnosis is attention deficit disorder, while ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Why do you think people still call it ADD today? Yes, people got diagnosed before it changed. Absolutely. They're still utilizing that term. Lack of understanding, usually the most obvious typical presenting symptoms of those without it. Okay. Great. Thank you for sharing. Basically, DSM-5, people have been diagnosed with ADD before the official changeover, so they've got it on their diagnosis, ADD rather than ADHD. Some people find it their preference to use ADD as well. Basically, if you're inattentive ADHD, that means the hyperactivity part isn't present. That's why we call it inattentive ADHD. Yeah, people use both to mean the same thing. Culture, you seem to be widely used in the US, so it's used in films. And sometimes when we're using language, we have different meanings behind it as well. Sometimes it could be because of a previous diagnosis. Sometimes it could be the fact that we're in a different country, intersectionality-wise. That's what they use. There's a plethora of reasons why you might still hear people calling it ADD, but today we are calling it inattentive ADHD, just so that we're using the same language and we're on the same page. We're not going to go through the piece around this is what ADHD is and this is what ADD is. We're going to look through a trauma-informed lens. We're going to look at research and some lived experience from all of you. We're actually going to look at systems that stick. We're going to give you a bunch of different tools that you're going to utilize today. And those that have got the resource pack, you'll have a set of other tools that will go a bit deeper to help you on your journey. Thank you for that. We're going to do some myth busting first. We want to make sure that we're all clear about what the myths are. We're going to talk about what inattentive ADHD really looks like from all of your different experiences. I'm going to share with you one strategy to begin with, but actually a whole bunch of different ones and some systems that could help. I know I speak fast, so I'm going to be mindful to speak slower. Be diagnosed with ADHD, combined type, OCD, dyslexia, dyspraxia, and I suspect autism, which is I'm waiting a diagnosis for. So, variation of neurotypes. This has been done from a period of coaching people that have inattentive ADHD as well, but also lived experience. This is a neuro-affirming place. Here's my cat. Here is Miles. Bye, Miles. I want to make sure that you can chat freely. You can ask questions at any point. No need to wait. Take what serves you. Just like food, right? On a plate in a restaurant. Sometimes you see the menu and I think you're just not going to like, even though the menu said it looked great. And your experience is valid as well. There's no right or wrong way to experience ADD, in a attentive ADHD. Let's talk about some myths, which is not a common trait of inattentive ADHD. We've got A, B, C, or D. Great. And we have the majority of you saying C. And I can reveal it is C, right? We've got task switching, hyper-focused episodes, and emotional regulation challenges as some traits. But in terms of inattentive ADHD, there's no constant hyperactivity involved. Which of these is an ADHD-friendly way to improve attention? A, B, C, or D? A is mind-wandering breaks. B is multisensory input. C is body doubling. D is all the above. Which one? Some of them might be more impactful for you than others. However, perhaps all of these work. So far, I've got A, B, C, or D. Yeah, there is a piece where it's too small. Let me see if I can make it bigger. That should do it. D, we have D. All of the above. And we have a couple with C. hopefully this is big enough screen now. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to reveal the answer is all of them. You could have chosen any, but all of the above work. Mind wandering breaks work. Multisensory input works. Body doubling works. All of them, regardless. Choose one, choose all. They all work in some capacity. Thank you for participating so far. Okay. So the reason why they work, external scaffolding, dopamine regulation, co-regulation, is just proven effective. There is some science and research behind it as well. We know that these things work. Inattentive ADHD is primarily about A, inability to focus at all, B, focus regulation challenges, C, not trying hard enough, D, being easily distracted. A, B, C, or D. We got B, we got D as well. We are busting myths, right? In terms of inattentive ADHD is primarily about B. Let's just marinate on this. Focus regulation challenges. It's not about inability to focus at all. It's not about not trying hard enough, because we know we try hard. And it's not just about being easily distracted either. There's focus regulation challenges. This one is things that I know many people do. Some of these ones that I've put in here. But I want to share with you what's going to be more likely to help someone with inattentive ADHD finish a task. Is it A, shaming themselves into doing it? B, breaking it into steps and linking it to an emotion or value? C, forcing themselves to sit still until it's done? Or D, fear of consequences? I know sometimes you're thinking these questions are really obvious. Actually, sometimes they're not so obvious, right? Sometimes this is why we're myth busting. We have many Bs. B, breaking it down into steps. If D is working for you, then it might cause some dysregulation long term, but breaking it down into steps and linking it to an emotional value is very effective. We're doing it from a regulated place. D sometimes works. Hear you, Charlotte. Yeah, there's that fear of consequences that definitely has helped me in the past, but breaking it down into steps so I'm not getting stressed. I definitely hear what you're saying. B helps because the cortisol levels or stress levels will be lower by the end of the activity. When you're using fear of consequences, you've got that panic as well. Going back to the question, the answer is from B, more likely. 9 times out of 10, it's going to help someone finish a task when they are broken in steps and linking it to an emotional value. We're talking about interest. Where you're talking about the parts around urgency, I guess that's where D fits in, right? But interest, urgency, or emotional significance rather than obligation is why. Again, I'm quoting what's there in the research. I'm not making stuff up. Hopefully that gives you insights. Which of these statements reflect a neuro-affirming view of inattentive ADHD? A, people with ADHD just need to try harder. B, if you really cared, you'd be more consistent. C, your brain works differently. Systems should adapt to it. Or D, medication is a last resort. So far, we have 1 for A and 5 for C and 1 for D. Remember, neuro-affirming is like, how do we do it from a empowering way, from a way that doesn't see inattentive ADHD as a deficit, more of a strategic advantage in the world, right? Think of it from that lens. What letter would you be choosing from that lens? Okay, we've got C. We might have heard some of these things when we was growing up, when we didn't even recognize or get diagnosed with ADHD combined. We might have heard them, or we might be hearing them now. But ultimately, the way people create safe psychological spaces for everyone is it's framed as, my brain works differently. Systems should adapt to me. I need to make the systems work for me. I'm not saying the world should change. I'm saying actually the systems were modified. I can gain accessibility. That's all it is, right? Okay, so the answer is C. This is neuro-affirming. But just to clarify, a neuro-affirming lens reduces shame and recognizes that inconsistent attention isn't a moral failing, but a functional mismatch. Just breathe that in, because basically that lens is what we want to be looking through all the time. Because we want to remove the shame and remove that moral failing as well. Okay, so quiz leaderboards we have in the lead, Tiger Baby. Well done whoever Tiger Baby is. And well done everyone else that has participated. It only shows the top 10, well, everyone that's here today doing the work, appreciate you bringing virtual round of applause. And just to bring it back to what we really want to take away today, inattentive ADHD isn't a lack of focus regulation issue. Wired differently, all it is. We're going to go a bit deeper, and we're going to go past some of the textbook symptoms and look at some of the lived experiences. I asked one of our volunteer content creators around what inattentive ADHD looks like for them. And they said, for me, time feels completely broken in my brain. I have no sense of whether something will take 10 minutes or 2 hours. I'm either way early or scrambling at the last second because I can't estimate anything accurately. My mind is like a snow globe that's been shaken, thoughts constantly swirling and never settling. Even when I look calm on the outside, there's this persistent mental buzzing where I'm thinking about 3 different things while trying to focus on one. It's exhausting having a brain that never quite sits still, but I found different ways to make my life easier and use to the best of my ability. That's one person's experience of how inattentive ADHD shows up for them. How do you experience ADHD? What does it look like for you? Think about how it's affected you in the morning, the afternoon, and also how it's impacted you in a positive way. I'm asking you here to tell me all the things that are not quite going well. That's okay. Thank you for being an ally in this space. I like the description of a snow globe. If you're not officially diagnosed with ADHD, that's completely fine. We like you being in this space, being an ally for us as well. My attention is like a flock of birds flying out different directions whenever there is a noise or distraction. It's a really interesting way to phrase it, and I've never seen somebody phrase it that way. Thank you for sharing that. Trying so hard to focus. I'm focusing on trying to focus rather than what I'm supposed to be doing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, it takes a lot of energy as well, right? Random thoughts or words, memories that take my brain in all different directions, usually with a song playing out in my mind at the same time. Yeah, it's a replay button that just seems to be automatic, right? You can see that there's a recurring thread here. Everyone's experiencing it slightly differently. I find it hard to focus and easily distracted, which leads me to feel bad that I'm not being productive, but also does not allow me to do a few things at once. There's a piece around judging self as well, right? How you experience it in inattentive ADHD, all valid. Are there times when you're like, I couldn't do this part of my day without this? I'm prone to forgetting details and find planning a real struggle even for things I deeply care about. Like my marriage, it's not that I don't want to put the effort in, it's a genuine hurdle. Easily distracted from what I'm doing by being asked to do something else. I just switch over and forget the first thing. There's a whole plethora of things that can take our attention. I'm just going to share some of the comment on the screen as well. Thank you so much for sharing. Can you see everyone has shared some of their ways of their experience and how it makes you feel seen and understood? That's the importance of community. For me, I usually lose interest in what I'm doing quickly, shift to different things. It's helped me with dipping in and out of different tasks. Yeah. Cues, Shannon. Thank you, Bev, for sharing. I'm burnt out, feeling more like the snow globe I mentioned earlier. I then had to cope, get diagnosed last year before starting uni as a mature adult. Hopefully today we will be looking at something that will be helpful for you. And if you are all looking for something that's a bit deeper, we are doing a pilot program that you might be interested in joining. That could help as well. We have that's very easily and get fixated on anything that's not what I'm meant to be doing. Sometimes where the body doubling comes in, right? But yeah, completely for you on that one, Marie. Thank you for sharing. Shannon says, I hear you, Bev. I was diagnosed at 30 and I'm learning how to live my life without chronic burnout. It's a process that takes time. You are worth it. Thank you, Shannon and Bev, connecting. Okay. Also doing 10 or more things at once. I forget what I was doing. Yeah. Doing everything except what's priority at hand. Put things around simple tasks, take a lot of effort to execute. We can see that there's a recurring theme here, but we can all understand there's some strategies that work sometimes, and then other times they just don't. That has a lot to do with the regulation piece. Kerry saying, Bev, you can apply for disabled student allowance if you are at uni. They may give you a mental and study skills tutor. Yeah. Remember getting a study skills tutor via DSA. And don't be afraid to change them if they're not as effective as well. Trying to sleep is the hardest because that's where my mind doesn't stop. I think of everything at once, what I forget I need now and the future all at once, good and bad emotions too. Feels like a roller coaster in my mind. Okay. I'm just going to honor the space though there before I move on to the next thing. Thank you, Rita, for sharing. I'm going to go back to here. I'm so grateful for you sharing. Strong initial excitement, but then lose motivation when it takes too long. Being present with what's going on instead of splitting around ideas in my head. I said at work when I start somewhere new, as time goes on, it turns out to be an absolute impossible task. It becomes boring. Need to absorb information. Once it's done, I can't care anymore. Hear you there. We're going to look at some solutions in a second. I've made a few resources. I studied Yoga Nidra a few years ago, and I found it really helpful. If you haven't tried Yoga Nidra, have a go at that. There's quite a few different Yoga Nidra meditations on YouTube or Insight Timer. The reason why Yoga Nidra has been effective for me is because it doesn't ask you to stay still or concentrate. It's just a bit more effective. Bev has replied to Kerry around I have DSA, but it's not worked very well. Thank you, Shannon. That advocacy piece, right? Sometimes it's not as helpful, and sometimes you've got to fight, and it's a bit too tiring to fight as well. There's lots of solutions. Thank you all. Take a breath for sharing this, because this is huge to be able to share this in a space like today. I'm going to go and just reiterate some of the things you already said. There's times when you maybe can't hear your name when you're in deep thought because somebody might be calling you or speaking, and you're physically present, but your brain is so engaged elsewhere that auditory processing temporarily shuts down. Open multiple tabs, forget why. There's that emotional zone out in fast conversations. I'm doing now. That can mean you disconnect, even though you really want to engage. Other things like knowing exactly what to do, but can't start. When we're talking about executive function, the part that this plays into is task initiation, as in can't start task. And that's where you might then have different tools like body doubling that might work, or having a Pomodoro clock. And perfectionism paralysis, right? You don't want to get it wrong, so you're not going to do it at all. Then there's time blindness as well. 5 minutes turns into 2 hours. Let's talk a little bit about RSD, rejection sensitivity. Even though it's not an official diagnosis, that it is present and is probably more assigned to the word emotional dysregulation. This is why this energy loop is going on as well. There's a lot there. There's a lot of reasons as to why this is happening in terms of taking a lot of effort to execute. Sustained attention is an executive function challenge, which forms part of the presence of inattentive ADHD as well. All of those things you can receive coaching and support systems to help you manage or navigate those challenges that you've experienced. Let's look at some actions. I have using. So some of you might not enjoy the word mindfulness, but I've got basically a few techniques that are on this document, and I'm just going to share the link so that you can see it. Let me share this tab. There's literally 5 different activities on this document, and they take practice, and this is why it's called training, right? You would basically get into a space and you'd train your brain to make this second nature. Things like the stop technique or start technique, which is like stopping, pausing whatever you're doing, don't judge, wondering, noticing it, take a breath, acknowledging, and then redirecting. Yeah, I took DBT as well. DBT is really effective. It helps you with emotional dysregulation and interpersonal communication and other elements. Very useful to do. Trey and Shannon's also said they found DBT effective. I found DBT more effective for everyday and long term than CBT. Yes. DBT helps me think of options and slowing down as well. Okay. Amazing. Mindfulness is part of the DBT piece. There's a few things I've done on this to keep it ADHD friendly as well. You've got that document where you will basically be practicing it. One of the ways to practice is to be in community, right? We have a couple of Facebook groups, to be fair, but I think what I might do if anyone is interested is to put this as an activity within the group so you can stay accountable. Okay, so there's that. I know that routines can be challenging. Some of the pieces around the elements that we talk about around inattentive ADHD and the things that you find challenging, and the easiest ways to do it is to go through the 3 E's of routine. Before I commence, have you all heard of the 3 E's? CBT can be helpful, but not always for bottom out processes, so it works amazingly. We have many people that have not heard of the 3 E's. I'm going to break it down slightly and try not to take up too much time so that you've got time for connection or more connection. Before we get into the 3 E's, and I know routine can be not so as neuro-affirming, but just to give you a bit of permission. Routines don't have to be done the same way every time. They need to be repeatable, rewarded, and regulated by you. If you focus on the energy patterns, that's going to be much more helpful than anything else. Let me share this. Let me just go to the link. This other link, which you might already have, is where you can actually get the activity sheet, which looks a bit like this. Build your own 3E routine. You're going to choose a challenge there. You're going to apply the 3 E's, and then you are going to design your routine, and it's going to make it easy. Before you can do all that, you probably need to figure out what is the 3E method. How do we do that? Let me explain it just a little bit. So it's just about removing barriers, simplify to the tiniest possible action, like external reminders, attach it to existing habits. Gentle pleasures are the enjoyable piece, like incorporating sensory elements. I very much like the smell of candles, right? Candle wax. Pair with things that you already enjoy, make it feel cozy and inviting, and then effective or energizing, which is all about making sure results are visible within the same day, because part of you that like, if I don't see results, I'm going to go. And this makes it part of the day easier. You might have brain fog in the morning, maybe there's procrastination, maybe it's getting stuck. Just start with one challenge. You don't want to be like overwhelmed. Make it easy is to identify a smaller step, to add external reminders, connect to existing habits, prepare. That's how you would make it easy. And that activity sheet, you should be able to create your own 3E routine. Now, enjoyable, so that you want to do it, not that you have to. Remember we said it's not about obligation. And so what makes it feel cozy, comforting? For me, when I get up in the morning, I'm turning off my lamp, I'm opening the curtains, making it easy, and then I'm going downstairs to feed cats. It's enjoyable and stuff. Not frivolous. It's basically about pleasure. What do you look forward to in the morning or at that moment? And then the last one is effective. Is it actually a specific problem? Does it create same-day benefits? Define the feeling and then decide what's next. Name it, define trigger, list the steps, check all 3 E's. So you might have a mental fog around 2 p.m. Your routine might be called the gentle refresh. You have a phone alarm at 2. Step outside for 2 minutes. Bring your favorite mug or herbal tea. Then you have immediate clear air, and it helps you focus for the next 2 hours. How do you test it? You could try it for 3 days. You could try it for 3 hours. It's about noticing how it feels, making small adjustments as well. I'm going to go back to this and give you some other ones that might be helpful too. This is the inbox triage protocol. If you are rushed for time, you can look at what's in your inbox. Ask yourself, can I do this in 2 minutes? If yes, you can do it immediately. If no, continue to the next step. Does it need a response? Yes, no. Is information I need to keep? Yes, no. The reason why you've got yes, no's here is because if not, this type of things. We want to reduce decision fatigue. Oftentimes that is part of the challenge. We've got too many decisions to make. And so if you reduce the amount of decisions you're making, you're less likely having to get stuck as overthinking of things as well. Task, claim, and grid. I'm going to see if I can send you some of the resources that are here. Got the 3E routine resource, which is great. And then you've got the 5 mindfulness-based techniques and then 16 ready-made routine templates as well. On the second tab, you'll see this, which is around primer and the routine and the 3E breakdown. I know that normally when it comes to worksheets and things like that, what would be helpful for your next step? You've got all these resources. How do you know what would be helpful as a next step for you? What could we do with exceptional individuals that might support you to your next step? Let me also know what's your one biggest takeaway at one action. In the meanwhile, if you're still thinking of that and you want to come back to us at a later date, that's completely fine. We're going to be here next week with another session that my colleague Tim will be doing. What is the next step that us, our team experts and individuals can do to help support you? Pick the people with inattentive ADHD to follow, to learn homework. Okay. One bigger takeaway and one action. What are you going to put in your 3E routine? What's going to be your first challenge? The idea of using 3Es to build a mini routine to tackle a challenge. Okay, great. If you've got more people in here that are going to be doing that, perhaps body doubling might be a really good solution as well. So far we have, I like the idea of using the 3Es, apply more 3E routines and do the homework. Me too, I have to learn more and better understand my weak points, homework. And I have to push through, finding ways to make things enjoyable. Absolutely. 3Es. Easy, enjoyable, effective, or energizing. We want to replace effective for energizing. We can do that as well. But all of those are going to be helpful. The way utilizing enjoyable, for example, if I put something enjoyable in there, it's not going to work. It needs to be easy as well to reduce the friction. It needs to be energizing or effective so that you can see it's working. Then your brain wants to do it more, because what gets celebrated gets replicated. Without celebrating what you're doing, without feeling like what I've done is effective or get recognized, then you're not going to replicate it. What gets celebrated gets replicated, and that's why it needs to be enjoyable. I'm going to get a resource pack toolkit together that helps with implementing this as well. If you got that, would like to know more about the 3Es? Yeah, there can be challenges with tech. We do tech training sometimes, and I think there are some tech training sessions recorded on our YouTube. So feel free to have a look. Check out DBT, because that is also very short. Thanks, Marie. Thanks, Bev. Thanks, Rita. Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, Shannon. And everyone else, Caitlin, and Jeff and April. I appreciate you all. And we will be back next week. My colleague will be talking about another neurotype and giving you some really good tools as well. Fantastic. Thank you, Leo. Thanks, Colette. Appreciate you all. I wish I could take all of these comments, just save them and put it on my wall of thanks. Thank you all so much for being supportive of each other as well. We will see you all next week.